Hey everyone, Beeblebum here. Today I want to show you a brand new building technique I discovered during my anniversary livestream, the transfer glitch. This glitch lets you move parts between two bases, in this case between your planetary and your Corvette. And it works in both directions. But before we jump into the fun, we need to cover how to set up the build area safely and also go over the risks. Then I'll show you both versions of the glitch, the soft transfer and the forced transfer. First, disclaimer time. This is an advanced technique and does come with risks. In my testing, I had 5 crashes, 2 of them were actually corrupting my save. The only way to fix that was removing the broken Corvette from my save with a save editor. Now the good news is that since the experimental patch, I have not had any corruptions anymore, only crashes. On PC, you should always back up your saves before even trying to attempt this. And on console, I feel that backups are far less reliable, which also is gonna make your risk much higher. Also note, crashes mostly happen when mixing non-native parts onto a Corvette. If you stick to Corvette native parts, it has been stable for me. But in the end, it is your responsibility to decide if this is worth the risk. And there is another kind of responsibility as well. Remember, you are not the only person playing this game. If you push a massive, overly complex or unstable Corvette into multiplayer, you are in the wrong. Keep your creations humble and considerate so that when other players encounter them, it doesn't ruin their experience but lift it. This glitch is powerful, but it comes with obligations. Use it responsibly. Alright, let's jump into it. To make this glitch reliable, your Corvette needs to spawn in the same exact spot every time. A big thank you to Roger Faust from my livestream community. He shared with us that if you teleport to a settlement, your Corvette will always appear at a fixed location. If the settlement has a landing pad, it will spawn there. If it doesn't, it will spawn in a set spot on the ground. Actually, I recommend using a settlement without a landing pad, otherwise NPC pilots will keep trying to land on it right on top of your Corvette, and that's a nightmare while you're trying to build. If you already have a settlement, you can skip this step, but if you don't, let me walk you through it. Head to any space station and talk to the cartographer. This NPC sells different planetary charts, and what we want are the settlement charts. They are listed at the bottom of the menu, and you will need navigation data to buy them. I recommend picking up a few because sometimes the first settlement you find won't be to your liking, or you may want to check several planets before deciding. Once you have the charts, travel to a system with your preferred planet. Fly into its atmosphere and then use one of the charts. It should mark a nearby settlement on that planet. Just follow the marker until you reach it. If you are arriving in a Corvette, I advise to land outside of the radius of the settlement, just to avoid any future issues. Once landed, interact with the settlement terminal to claim overseer status. That makes the settlement officially yours. The next step is to build the overseer outpost. Without it, you won't be able to teleport back here later, and teleporting is what makes this whole setup reliable. Depending on your game mode, you may need to supply resources to complete the construction. In creative it is instant, but in normal or survival expect to feed materials. Once the overseer's outpost is finished, that is all the settlement management you need to worry about. I actually recommend leaving this settlement alone. Don't expand or micromanage it, just keep it as your dedicated Corvette workshop location. Finally, go into the terminal and give the settlement a unique name. I called mine Corvette Planetary Workshop, so whenever I'm scrolling through teleporters, I instantly know this is the spot where I build. Once this is all done, we can take our teleporter and move back to the space station. Now that we have set up our settlements, the next step is to prepare a Corvette specifically for glitch building. I strongly recommend starting with a fresh Corvette instead of using one you already built or experimented on, just to start with a clean slate and reduce the additional risk. So, head to the space station and interact with the Corvette workshop. From here, select the option to build a new Corvette. For the purpose of this tutorial, we won't go crazy with the design. I'll just put together a minimal frame. Apart from the essentials, a cockpit, landing gear, a thruster, a reactor and a weapon module, I like to place a few walkway modules on the front here. It will become clear why later in the demonstration. The only thing left is confirming and adding to our collection. Once that is done, Give the Corvette a clear and unique name. I'll call mine Corvette Project 1. Once again, the reason for this will become clear further down the line. After naming it, finalize the build and make a manual save so we don't lose progress. Now teleport back to the settlement we just set up. When you arrive, you'll see your Corvette parked in its designated spot. This will always be where it spawns whenever you teleport here. When standing near the Corvette, open up the build menu. You'll notice that by default, you're now editing on your Corvette. That's good. It means the Corvette grid is active and we are ready to create an overlap with a base computer. That's right. To perform the transfer glitch, we need two overlapping build zones. In this case, the Corvette grid and the base computer grid. The catch is that you can't place a base computer inside the settlement itself. The game will block you from doing that. So instead, move away about 300 U from the settlement. That is the minimum distance required to place a base computer from each other. As you walk out, you should keep your Corvette in mind. The goal is to position the base computer in such a way that the build radius of the base computer overlaps where the Corvette is parked. If you go too far in the other direction, you might end up outside of the overlap. So try to line yourself up with the Corvette and move in that direction 300 U. Once you're far enough, place and claim the base computer. Give it a recognizable name, something simple like base computer. Then walk back towards your Corvette. In most cases, the build radius will cover the ship. But if it doesn't, there is always ways to extend the radius, and I will link a video about that if it is needed. Here is how you know it worked. Stand near your Corvette and open the build menu. Select a part. At the bottom of the build part info screen, you'll see a banner that tells you which grid you're currently editing. With the part selected, you should be able to toggle between two options: editing base computer and editing Corvette P1. That is exactly what we want. But if you see a third option, one that says editing with a blank name, stop right there. The blank entry usually points to an unknown or unintended Corvette. If you try to build while it's selected, you could end up placing or linking parts to the wrong ship entirely. In my test, I haven't been able to remove the third option once it appears. So if that happens, I recommend abandoning that settlement and trying a different one. For now, if you only see base computer and Corvette as the options, you're in the clear. That is the perfect setup for performing the glitch. Before we dive in the glitch itself, I will repeat myself one more time. When you're learning this for the first time, I strongly suggest working only with native parts. By native, I mean parts that exist in both the base computer menu and the Corvette menu. Things like light floors, because both grids recognize them. They're much safer to use. The real problem begins when you start forcing non-native parts into the wrong grid. For example, putting a biodome onto a Corvette. That is when crashes and instability are most likely. So start small, keep it safe, and only branch out into non-native transfers once you're confident and willing to take the extra risk. Or you got yourself backups. Okay, let's start talking about the transfer glitch itself. This one can be divided in two categories. We have the soft transfer glitch and we also have the forced transfer glitch. The soft transfer glitch should be pretty safe, as I have not come across any issues or crashes while using it. However, the forced transfer glitch might cause some issues, especially during the placement or the use of the glitch or the removal of the part that you just glitched in. So please, once more, be aware of that. Alright, let's start with the soft transfer glitch. As you can see right now, this block is part of my base computer. If I would switch it around, I would be able to switch to my Corvette P1. As you can see, I cannot build it because it has to be attached to the Corvette. So I would have to place it on top of the Corvette to be accepted. If I place it here, I cannot place it there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch this to my base computer and I'm going to place it. Now, it is pretty easy to recognize which part is part of your Corvette and which part is part of your base computer. If I go to a light, for example this, I like to use this one because it has a small footprint. It's easy to aim at. Now, if you look at this, you can see I'm editing base computer here. If I'm editing here, it switches automatically to editing Corvette P1. So I can actually see which part is part of the Corvette, which part is part of the base computer. All right, so what I'm going to do right now, I want to switch this part over, so it is now becoming part of the Corvette. And this we can do by using the soft transfer glitch. What we're going to do, we're going to open up our edit menu. So we're just going to press the button for toggle edit build, so that we can have this blue glow over the part. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to press the button to move. As you might have noticed, the buttons for your platform are shared in the bottom left screen. Now, while we are in move mode, we'll toggle from editing base computer over to editing Corvette E1. And instead of placing that part somewhere new, we'll simply cancel the move. Now, what happens is the part snaps back to its original position, but this time it belongs to the Corvette grid. To double check, you go to your light, you will see this is part of Corvette 1, this is part of Corvette 1. And to be sure that we can see the difference, let me just duplicate you. I'm going to switch it to base computer and I'm going to place you right next to it. There we go. We're going to go to our light again. You will see Corvette 1, Corvette 1. If I move over to that one, it just switched to base computer. So this is the soft transfer glitch. All right. This means that this is now part of my Corvette. If I fly away, if I go to my space station, this will be landing together with my Corvette on the space station. Now, again, this is a very powerful technique that will allow you to put a lot of different parts on your Corvette, but you are taking the responsibility if you are going beyond the native building parts of the Corvette. If you put a biodome on it, if you put floors, whatever on this ship, your game crashes, this is on you. All right, let's now look at the second section of the transfer glitch, which is the forced transfer glitch. The forced transfer glitch will allow you to force a part on a certain base or Corvette, even if the game wouldn't allow you before. And I will show you what I mean by that. If I take a window and I apply the window on my Corvette and say I edit this now and I say move and I switch to my base computer and I cancel that move, you will see the window is not placed back. That is why I need to use a forced technique. To do the forced technique, we're going to place the window against the Corvette and we're going to do a glitch. This is an actual glitch because we're going to have to push two buttons in the cadence of as we would do a wire glitch or a cycle glitch or adjacency glitch. We're going to have to press the button that switches between our base, which is the button right there. And at the same time, we will have to build. So we will have to force the game to build the window on my base computer instead of on my Corvette. So let's press the buttons almost at the same time, just a slight delay between pressing the button for cycling or switching to the base and building the part, like that. As you can see, it actually will be successful. As you see, the window should be like rounded on the outside. But you can also double check. You take your pill light, you move a pill light over here, you will see Corvette 1, and now the window is on the base computer. All right, so now we're going to go back to the space station, and I'm going to remove this and this hab. We're going to edit our Corvette. And we're going to remove this one, and we're going to remove this one. And this is just to clear the area so the window is no longer connected to the Corvette. Apply the edits and travel back to the settlement. All right, let's go and check our Corvette once again. All right, so you can see the Corvette has been placed at the same exact position, but now we are missing the two habs that were in front. What we're going to do now, we're going to do a soft transfer between this and the base. So what we're going to do, we're just going to aim at this window. We're going to say move. We're going to switch to our Corvette and we're going to cancel the move. And the window is going to be placed back, but this time it is going to be part of our Corvette. As you can see, Corvette 1. All right, with that done, we can now go back to the space station. Let's go to our Corvette workshop. Let's edit our build. No, edit. Modify. So now we got our window, part of the Corvette, but it's completely disconnected. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a hab right here. We're going to duplicate one and we're going to bring it out to the window. And now it's snapped on the window. It will allow me to rotate 90 degrees like that. I can, of course, rotate it again, which is now a 180 degree, a 270 degree, and back to 0. So let's build it like that. So now we have a hab that is actually snapping left and right. I cannot build a second hab in there, and that is because of that snap point already being occupied by the window. If I remove this hab, you will see that this window is also going to disappear. This means you can only do one rotation per snap on the window. So if you want multiple rotated snaps on the same point, you'll need to repeat the force transfer step with a window. Well, you don't, because the good news is, once you have one rotated hab in place, you don't always need to repeat the glitch. You can use the interior stair trick to rotate the part like shown by Action Pants Gaming. My plan is to still make a video about that, but that will be in the near future. Alright, so now we can put the large hab in here. I can put some large habs on the side. Maybe I should just put a small one inside here like that, so I can remove you two. Take the large hab and snap them on the sides, and then we can remove these again. Now, this will not open up. These are not connected at all. This means you will not be able to traverse through these walkways. So the only way I found so far to make the connection is by making the connection vertical, and that's by using the, I think it's called the Thunderbird landing bay. I can just put a small hab on the side. I am going to remove this one as well, and we're going to use a Thunderbird class bay on this instead. So I'm going to put this here. We're going to put a Thunderbird class here, like that. And then underneath, we're going to put a regular walkway rotated like this, because we need to have access through this story. Apply edits. You will now see we have this teleporter here, but this is still closed, so I cannot go up there. The only way you can get up there is by building a ladder, internal stairway, right here, that will open up the hall, and it will allow you to transfer and walk up to the second floor. And now you have these sideway habs like this. This, of course, is a lot of messing around and glitching. I know a lot of people would prefer this to be all vanilla and just have access to it straight away. I've been playing No Man's Sky for over 9 years now. I've been making content for 5 years, and I know this might never happen. So this is the solution so far. If they ever bring it into vanilla, great. If not, this is how we do it. Alright, let's wrap this up. Today we covered a lot, but let me stress it again. With great power comes great responsibility. Because you can, doesn't mean you should. This video should serve as your reference for setting up transfer glitching. In the next guide, we will take this further with center point alignment and circle scaffolding, which unlock even more advanced Corvette designs. If this was helpful, then drop a like, maybe subscribe for even more deep dives, and let me know what you thought of the video. Thank you so much for watching. This was Beeblebum. Goodbye for now.